Hey everyone, Tara Lynn here. I had a few requests to show how I did my Wicked stone, and so I'm going to do the design today just with a really quick workshop here. Today, instead of replicating the stone exactly, I'm going to work on a board so that I don't have two of the exact same thing. So whatever surface you choose, you want it to be about 5 inches, and I painted mine black. Use whatever 16 arm stencil you like. This is one from Happy Dotting Company, and then just center it. Use your chalk or marking pencil and get your stencil on. Okay, so this is a multiple of 8. You want 16 arms if possible. And then as far as paint colors go, I've got gold. You're going to want to choose a pink and a green, and then what I did was I just added white to those colors. And so I used Decoart Americana Joyful Pink and Decoart Americana Festive Green. I actually think the pink is a little different. I might have used a different pink, so don't feel like it has to be the exact color. We're working with a pink and green palette here, so use what you have, and it will turn out beautifully. And then I've got my Craft Smart set of dotting tools, which I use the most. And so I've got 12 millimeter, 10, 8, and 6. And then I've got 2 styluses. And then maybe just a pencil or a tool for you to pull some of your fine lines. Okay. This one is pretty easy. The hardest part about this is getting the mixed dots, and I'll show you how I did that. But to start with, I'm going to take my 6 millimeter tool and my gold paint. Remember, if you're using a metallic, it's probably thicker right out of the bottle than most of your other paints, so you may want to add just a pinch of water or thinning medium. But I'm going to go ahead and make a nice 6 millimeter dot right in the center. Oops. And it did exactly what I didn't want it to do, because those metallics are a pain in the buttski. All right, so 6 millimeter center dot. You could probably go up to an 8 millimeter if you wanted to. And then what I'm going to do is my 2.5 millimeter tool. I'm going to have 4 lines be, or 4 dots be green and 4 dots be pink. And so depending on your stencil, I'm going to go ahead and draw my lines in just so you can see what I'm up to over here. All right, so 2.5 millimeters, I'm going to do 4 green and 4 of the pink. And I'm going to put that in between my lines, this dot here. So I do 4 pink, then I'm going to switch and do 4 green. All right, next, let's see, I'm going to turn this just because I have my pink on the right side today. All right, next we're going to do a larger set of dots. So this time I'm going to go back to my 6 millimeter, and we're going to add 1 dot in between each dot here. Now, if the dot is pink, if the 2 dots next to it are pink, I add a pink dot, a lighter pink dot. Okay, if the dot is pink and green, that's where I'm going to do my swirl. So I'm going to do the easiest dots first. So on my pink side, I'm going to add a light pink. And so we did spaces in the previous row. This time we're doing the lines. So go ahead and do the 3 solids on the pink side with the lighter pink, and then the 3 solids on the green side with the lighter green. And then it's a little tricky to get the mixed dots. So basically what I did was I just dipped a little bit of paint on my tool, and I tapped a little bit of the pink on one side. Oops, I should probably use the right pink. Light pink, light pink. Getting ahead of myself here. It doesn't matter what tool you use to get some paint on there. So get a little bit of light pink on the light pink side. then get a little bit of light green on the light green side. And then you're going to use your smallest stylus and you're just going to turn these into dots that are about equal size to what we just did. So we basically want it to look like a half and half dot. And then once you have those done, the half and half dots, I'm going to come through and just give it a little back and forth to swirl those colors. And you can always add a little more paint if it's not swirling. This is not an exact science. If you end up with more of one color than the other, just go back through and pull some of the color that's missing. But that's how I did the half and half. Then next to this same set, I'm going to go to an 8mm tool. I'm going to switch back to my darker colors. So where I have a light pink, I'm going to come through with an 8mm tool. And I'm going to add dark pink right next to it. So I know that I have 3 solids on each side. So I do my 3 dark pink, my 3 dark greens, and then we have our half and halves right here. So again, we're going to do the same thing. Take one of your tools, just add some green paint on there, wipe it off, add some of your pink on there, turn these into half circles. Then you can go back through and just swirl. And I don't go crazy with the swirl, you just want a little color on both sides. All right, let's get some gold in here. So in between each area where I have a space, kind of in between this light row and this darker row, I'm going to use my 3mm tool and gold paint, and I'm going to put a dot in between all the way around. So we're going to get 8 of those. Next, we're going to switch to the smaller side, so 2.5mm. So in there, we've got our 3mm gold dots, and I'm going to walk the dots with my 2.5mm. I'm just going to add a pinch more water in here because my gold is still very tacky. Sometimes those metallics can be tricky, but they sure are pretty. Okay, so I've got my 3mm dot, and we're going to walk the dots, and we're going to walk them out and around. So I'm going to switch to my 2.5mm side. I've got my paint, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do about 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm having a lot of trouble with my gold paint, but I'll get there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to create those little gold petals all the way around. And then in between, so we've got these little dips where the petals go in, and there's a line. On that line, I'm going to add a 3mm gold dot. So we're going to add 8 of those. Right, for the next step, I'm going to use a 4mm tool. Now, some sets come with a 4mm size and some do not. If you don't have the 4mm, you can go down to a 3mm and just give it an extra little wiggle, or you can go up to a 6mm if you've got the extra space. I'm going to use my 4mm and my light pink and my light green. And so next to where these gold dots are, on my pink side, I'm going to add a light pink dot. Only on the rows where we have that little gold dot that we just did. So there's going to be 8. 4 pink, 4 light green. Then in the next step, I'm going to use my 6mm tool, and we're going to get some gold pins on here. And so what I'm going to do, dip in my gold. Now for this, you want to give yourself a little bit of room, because you do have to pull that pin, okay? So go out a little bit. We're going to put these in the same row that we've got the dark green and the petals, okay? So here I've got a row of that dark green or dark pink. I'm going to put my 6mm gold dot here. Give it a double dip so there's plenty of paint. And then you can take one of your tools. I'm going to use my 2.5mm, and I'm just going to pull inward. And then I'm going to repeat that process all the way around, so we end up with 8 of those. So I'm going to double dip, make sure that I've got a nice circle with lots of paint in there. And then with my 2.5mm tool, I just pull inward. My gold paint is really misbehaving today, so I'm going to have to clean up some of this after I'm finished. I hate that. This gold paint might end up in the garbage after today. I talk a lot about paint consistency and how paint consistency is so important, and this gold paint is just really almost sticky. So it's time for this one to go. Since I started with it, I have no choice but to finish with it. Alright, so you can see I've got those messy pins here. Hopefully your gold is more cooperative than mine. before I move on, I am going to fix this just a little bit because we're doing some detail work next to these and I won't be able to go in after it's dry, after I complete the next step. So I am just cleaning this up so that I don't have any of that messiness I just made with my misbehaving gold. There we go. Sometimes it's easier to clean up after the fact. Sometimes it's better to get it before you move on. This was one of those times. Okay. Now we're going to add some of these little embellishments next to that pin. And for that, I'm going to use my 1.5 millimeter swipe tool stylus and my 1 millimeter stylus. All right, so I'm going to focus on the pink side first. With the 1.5 millimeter end, I'm going to dip into my darker pink paint. And I'm going to tap a dot. Then I'm going to double tap that dot and pull that inward and down. And so it makes like a little hook there. So it's a little swoop. So I tap with my pink. Then I'm going to double tap that and pull inward and down. I'm going to repeat that on all the pink sides. When I have a half and half, I'm just going to do the pink side. When I switch to green, I can go back in and do the green side. All right, so you can see I've done all my dark pink. We've got a half here, one on each side here, here, and here, and then a half here. And then I can switch around to my dark green and do the exact same thing. So you dip and then double dip and pull. All right, so we did all of those with our darker colors. Then I'm going to come back through and I'm going to do a smaller one with my lighter color. Exact same technique. This time I don't need to double dip. It's a little bit shorter, so I'm going to come in with my light pinks and add a little swoop in there. And I'm going to switch to light green and add my light green swoops in there. And then next to each side, I'm going to add a coordinating dot. So where I've got my light pink, I'm going to add just a light pink dot at the bottom of that design. And that kind of finishes off that little embellishment that we've done. And that's the same size tool, 1.5 millimeters. And then switch to green on the green side. For the next row, we're going to switch to the lines in between. So we've got a gold dot, a colored dot, and then we're going to add a larger 10 millimeter colored dot with the dark color. So where I've got my pink, I've got light pink here. On my pink side, I'm going to add a 10 millimeter dark pink. And there will be 4 pink and 4 green for a total of 8. All right, next we are going to add some walking the dots around these large circles that we just made. And the first thing I'm going to do is add my center circle. So on the pink side, I'm going to add 3 millimeters with my light pink. And then of course on the green side, 3 millimeters with my light green. And then on each side, I'm going to switch to 2.5 millimeters, and with the same color that I used on each side, I'm just going to walk the dots. So on that side, I feel like I can fit 6 comfortably, so 6 on the other side. And I'm going to repeat those all the way around. When you get to your green, you just switch up to light green. All right, then for the next row, we're going to add a little crown at the end with gold. So there's going to be a set of 3. I use the same size, 3 millimeters for this one. So in order to do that, I'm going to leave a little room and then make my 3 millimeter dot. And then once I have the outside dot, I can do the 2 inside to make my little crown. And if you see me doing a funny little wiggle, it's just because my gold paint is uncooperative. Hopefully yours is behaving better. Make sure you dip before each dot because all 3 of these should be the same size. Then once you have all of those crowns made, you can switch to your 2.5 millimeter end and then walk the dots on each side. All right, now we're going to do some swipes. So again, I'm going to get my 4mm tool, and I'm going to make a coordinating dot with my darker color. So on the green side, I'm going to get my dark green, and after this gold, I'm going to tap in one dark circle, 4mm tool, and then one dark circle on the pink side, and then I'm going to grab my 3mm tool, and we're going to do some swipes. So let's start, pick a side, pink or green, and what you're going to do is you're going to make a dot, 2, maybe even 3, since this is kind of a long swipe, and we're going to slowly pull that. Now, if it runs out of paint on you, you can use a pencil or a really thin tool and just pull some of that down. So 1, 2, 3, and then it's a really slow swipe. Once you have those done all the way around, we're going to switch to the lighter color, and we're going to add shorter swishes. So I'm going to switch to the 2.5mm side. I'm going to start with my light pink, and I'm just going to go slightly down a little bit from where I started the last one. So this one's a little bit shorter. switch over to your light green. Just fixing a few of these that are a little short. So those are the swipes, and then we're going to add some more dots in gold. And so I've got a 4mm dot and a 6mm. And so find your gold in between these large petals that we just created. And next to that pin, we're going to add a 4mm dot. We end up with 8 of those, 4mm, and then we're going to switch to 6mm. And that is it for the base of this design. Now, I didn't do a whole lot in terms of top dots for this. What I did with these large circles here is I added a top dot with my 6mm tool. So if I have dark pink, I went back and I added a light pink, and I didn't do it in the center of the dot. I did it closer towards the middle of the circle, of the whole piece, if that makes sense. Of course, when you do top dots, you can do them any way you want, so you can do it centered if you prefer. Another fun option for top dots, you could do top dots in gold. You could do top dots in a glitter of some sort. This is a fun one to add a little glitter, a little sparkle. So when you finish, what you're going to want to do is let the whole piece dry. You're going to clean up your mark lines, and then if you want to, like I said, you can add a little bit of glitter. I've got some iridescent glitter on this one. It's hard to see because I've got a varnish on here as well. So this one's varnished and it's completed. So feel free to add whatever top dots, whatever glitter or designs. If you're working on a square for this, you can add something in the corners. If you're working on a stone, maybe you're finished. If you've got some room around the edges, you can always add some of your own personal touches. So don't be afraid to make it your own. Thank you so much for giving this one a try, and I can't wait to see what you create. Thanks, everyone.